Hi, okay, so this video was requested on studying habits in depth. Sorry that it was so late. I wasn't feeling that well, but I'm going to try now. So, my tips are going to be based off of classes that don't require textbook readings because I haven't had many of those classes. Um, a lot of the classes that I've had have textbooks as a supplement, so I'll go into how I dealt with the textbooks, but if your textbooks are a part of the course, basically just read whatever they tell you to. Teachers usually will be specific on what they want from the textbook because it is a broad thing, so that is very just like teacher specific. So for me, what I found that worked for me was that I would go to lecture, and there were two options. Either they would provide the slides beforehand or after class. So if they were provided beforehand, I would print out the lecture slides, bring them to class, write throughout the lecture on the handout or the lecture slides, and then I'd go home, re-listen to the lecture either through the school providing a video or audio podcast of the lecture. I'd re-listen to it and rewrite everything because it's so easy to miss things because you're just writing so quickly and teachers can talk really quickly. So it's always good to listen to the lecture twice if your lectures are very essential for the tests. If the handouts were not provided or available before lecture, then I would just type whatever I could during the lecture, go home, then print out the slides whenever they became available, and then listened to the lecture again a second time. Now, if your university does not provide the audio or video, just use your cell phone. There's Evernote is a good app. You can record the lectures. Some teachers might not be okay with it, so you might have to ask them beforehand. But usually if they're those large lectures, it's not that big of a deal. If they're the little small ones, just ask them beforehand. Yeah. But I definitely think that listening to the lecture twice does make a huge difference for me. Now, that takes care of that. Now, after listening to it a second time, on the weekends, I'll make little study guides every weekend of the classes. So I would go over my notes and basically outline the essential components of each lecture that happened. And if there was something that I felt weak on, I would write a little more in depth about it. I would also refer to the textbook. If there was anything that I felt weak on, I would just look up the subject in the textbook that the teacher suggests and go over it further because sometimes the textbook might be able to explain it better than the teacher. Yeah. So this is for just like content-based classes, not problem solving. If you have homework where it's problem solving, you can do that for like biology classes, re-listening to it twice, and then just do all the homework problems and outline very quickly the knowledge that you need to know, because usually if it's problem solving, there's not too much and it's more doing homework problems. So for those, just do homework problems. Testing yourself is the best way to learn, in my opinion. So then leading to my next point, if you have done all the study guides and everything, then what I would do throughout is like have a friend, just one, because I feel like if you have too many people, it can get really distracting very easily. I made that mistake in the beginning of having big study groups, and it's just hard for people to focus. I would max have one person, maybe two, but usually just one person that I would study with. We would just quiz each other nonstop. We did that for OChem, biology. It's just easier, and I think the most effective way is to just study. To study is to just quiz yourself and have someone else quiz you, because they can like pick up on mistakes that you're doing. So it's definitely good to be studying with someone else because they can catch a mistake, and you teaching them, if you have to like teach them something, then you're learning even better, because in order to teach something, you have to know it pretty well. So if you can do that, that means you're pretty good. I don't know if I should say this on tape, but old test material, if you can legally get access to it, is good. Like, some teachers will give out practiced midterms. Those are good to look at. Gives you a feel for the test. A lot of the test taking is basically just knowing and getting used to how the teacher tests. Like for the MCAT, it's like a similar thing, that it's more getting used to the test. Even if you're like super smart, it's more about just knowing, like feeling confident during the test. So if you can get access to old exams that's allowed, then I would recommend that. But yeah, basically reviewing the material multiple times and whatever you find effective. Eventually you can start cutting things out. If the study guide's not working for you, cut it out. If listening to it twice, if you can just listen to it one go perfectly, then do that. Usually when I'd listen in lecture, I wouldn't be taking the best of notes because I was trying to focus more on what he was saying. Or I'd do the reverse and not focus on what he was saying and just write down as much as I could blindly. And then when I'd listen to the lecture a second time, then I would start actually focusing on what the teacher was saying or writing more in depth. But you can do whatever you find. Basically, you have to figure out what's best for you and what clicks for you. This ended up working for me, and I was fine with it. There's also this good app called Study Blue. If they have your class and your teacher, it's really good. You can check different people can make little flashcards. And I know a lot of people like flashcards. I personally have made them maybe once for a class, but I know that people like them, and they are a good tool to self-study and self-quiz yourself. So you can actually look at other people's flashcards that they've already made, either for previous year or students who are taking the class at the same time as you, and you can just either borrow them or collaborate. And so it's studyblue.com. I use that. It's helped me out a lot. So I think that's it. Yeah, basically that's it. Some classes, I can tell you right now, in college, there's like no real way to study for it. I know I had a class where the average was 30% on midterms. It was a physics class. That teacher just like blew me away. It was really good, really awesome. Oh, office hours. Go to office hours. Just please go to office hours. If you ever are struggling, go to the office hours. If you're out of college, just go to the teacher. I know for one class, no one would use the office hours. I'd be the only one there, so it'd basically be like I was being tutored by the professor. Go to them. You get to know the teacher, so that's good. You can use them for a letter of recommendation, but most importantly, you can learn from them, and then you can have other students asking questions, and then you can learn from what they're missing out on. And you're like, oh, I didn't realize I didn't know that part. And it's just really good. So office hours, definitely recommend those. Sometimes they can be useless, depending on the teacher, but most of the time I found that they're very, very helpful. So that is my studying. Always quiz yourself. Make sure to do that. Quizzing's the best. Just my teacher from high school would always recommend take a blank sheet of paper and just write out everything you know about the subject to see how much you know, because if you can recreate it from nothing, that means you know it pretty well. Study while on the treadmill or on the elliptical when you're like getting time crunched. I've done that. I don't like studying while working out because I'd rather just focus on working out, but you get closer to a test, there's no shame in doing that. If this video is not sufficient, please let me know. Yeah, so I hope you guys like it. Bye!